Got it. Okay, cool. So let's start with some introductions. We'd love to see who's in the room with us. Okay, I'll start. Well, if you can share in the chat name, your affiliation and role or roles, particularly the ones that bring you today. I know you all. Oh, thanks. I'm not sharing my screen. Let's see. Okay, here we go. So we'll start with introductions. If you can share in the chat name, affiliation, roles, and location. I know that we wear a lot of roles, so if you want to share, I don't know, the ones that you feel most relevant to this training, or you could share all of them, it's up to you. I'll also start with my introduction. My name is Janet Vargas. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a trainer and a coach with the CS3 team, which stands for Community System Statewide Supports with Illinois Action for Children. My team and I support professional development, training, and coaching to early childhood collaborations in Illinois, as well as training, professional development to the community systems regional work. That's been a little bit new to our work lately. A bit of a background about me in terms. So I came to the CS3 team with almost 10 years of community organizing work with the state of Illinois. I worked with a nonprofit organization that did professional development training for parents, advocacy and organizing work led by parents. And so that's a bit of my background. And now taking the work that I did there with the work that we do here with CS3 and just bringing it together along with national research and just kind of keeping an ear to the ground about what's working and what's not working. And I am looking forward to learning a lot from you all today. Cool. Thank you for your introductions. Very cool. Okay, so I know this, so the training is aimed at collaboration members. If you are new to collaborations, we did put some links in the chat to give you a little bit of background, like what is a collaboration, where are the collaborations in Illinois, if you want to look into that. It's pretty great work. And then I'll also give an opportunity for our tech support to introduce themselves today. So I'll hand it over to Kristen and Armand.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kristen. I'm with the Community Systems Statewide Supports team at Illinois Action for Children, and I'll be tech support. So let me know if you have any questions.
And hello, everybody. My name is Armand. I am also part of the CS3 team as a program coordinator, and I will also be tech support today.
Cool. We just finished a really nice video that explains, like in less than 2 minutes, what collaborations are. So I just put that link in the chat. All right, let's get started. Today's training objectives are to explore the role of collaboration parent leader and its benefits, review resources needed to engage parents in the role, and we'll be going through a set of steps that could be helpful to implement the role of collaboration parent leader. The agenda is pretty straightforward. We'll go really quickly, some backgrounds on the parent engagement framework. We'll go through what the collaboration parent leader role is, including its benefits, and then we'll go step by step into how to engage parent in this role. Right in the middle of our step-by-step, we'll have a 10-minute break, and then we'll come back to finish the how-to and then we'll end with a reflection and peer learning breakout group, so that you all can, get some time to talk to each other, learn from each other, and just process all the activities for the day. And if at any point you have any questions, comments, concerns, you can use the chat and or unmute and just jump in. But sometimes the chat's a little hard to follow. There's a lot going on. If you can unmute and jump in, that'd be great. But also, if you want to use the chat, if you could just give me some grace. If I miss it, just put it in again. Thank you. All right, let's start with the icebreaker. In the chat, what are the biggest challenges that you face to engaging parents in your collaboration? You could do top challenge, top 3, whatever you're really, struggling with or want to really deepen, and it doesn't even have to be what you're interested in learning from today, just in general, what are some challenges? All right, transportation and trust, parent interest. And if you want to unmute, you can and jump in. But I know sometimes it's just easier to do the chat. Okay. Trust, parents staying involved. So that retention, transportation. And for transportation, is it that do you face just local transportation issues, with there isn't public transportation system, or is it something else? They express interest, but getting them to show up. Yeah, that's a big one. Interest and trust. Time. So there is some, I received a question about, if I'm not a collaborative partner, should I be here? You are more than welcomed, and I believe that you might, take some benefits from the training. So it's up to you if you want to be here, but also just maybe letting you know that some aspects may not apply 100%, but you can, take it, tailor it even if you work with collaboratives, right? Take what fits, leave what doesn't. You are more than welcome to be here. I just wanted to manage expectations. Okay, providing ample opportunities for engagement is another challenge. Time, getting full attention from parents during meetings. They seem to be multitasking with kids. Okay, and this is for virtual trainings or in person?
Yes, for through Zoom. Yes.
Okay. Trust. Parents don't have vehicle, no public transportation. Thank you. Parents don't think they are part of decision making. Ms. Letty, is it that they don't think they're a part of decision making, or is it that they're not a part of decision making?
It goes both ways.
Yeah, and I could see how if you're not a part of decision making, you might.
Then what do I need to be here for?
Yeah. Okay. Parent interest, time, COVID fear. So yes, parent engagement is work, right? It's not easy, but it's worth it. But anything that's worth it takes work. And I hope today we can continue to share not only challenges, but then how we're taking those challenges and turning them into opportunities. Cool, thank you all. I think when I was doing a lot more direct work with parents, I mean, there's a lot of challenges, but some of those challenges were honestly just like resources, right? Money to pay for people to do the work, and having the systems really understand and support what this work takes. I think sometimes the powers that be don't understand and maybe don't create the conditions to support what all it takes. Cool. Well, thank you all. I'm going to do a quick just background or kind of like context setting before we jump into the meat of today. So just to upfront disclaimer, we do use the word parent in parent engagement, as you may have seen with the training. The definition that we use is the Head Start definition, which includes all adults that show up for their child. So, and sometimes, you know, we do use sometimes interchangeably parent and family, but for engaging parents at the community systems level, we often see that like we're not engaging like the family unit, we're engaging the parent themselves. So that's where we landed. Just wanted to let you all know what we mean. And I love this little image right here to the left, because it's exactly right. Like any adult that shows up for their little child, because we know it's just more than their guardians. That's who we're talking about. Y'all probably seen this graphic like a million times, but if you haven't, it's part of our parent engagement resources and our framework. And it just indicates what parents have influence to impact when they become engaged at the different levels. And I just wanted to highlight that the engagement that this series is addressing is engaging parents at the community systems and policy level, which is slightly different, but just as important to engaging parents in the program level. So just wanted to keep that in mind, that we are really talking about engaging at the community systems level. So that area misleading where decisions get made. Cool. And if you want to learn more about this graphic, we will be sharing, right now in the chat, we're sharing the link to also another resource that you may have seen a million times, which is in our parent engagement handbook. It's engaging parents in early childhood collaboration. We wrote this training based off of research. We did a deep dive research across the country and across the state, had focus groups of parent leaders who participate in early childhood collaborations as well as their staff. And it's the first edition, so we're still, you know, changing things up, but this is kind of what we are basing this training and a lot of our work on. I invite you to, you know, take a look at it when you have a little bit more time. What we did find with kind of that deep dive and trying to put together some resources for parent engagement at the community systems level is that it helps to have clearly defined roles for parents, like what are they doing? We found that there's 4 typical parent engagement roles that collaborations are using across the state. And the parent engagement handbook goes through all of them, but today we'll be focusing on the collaboration parent leader role. I think about a month ago, we hosted a training that went into family and community experts. And then our next training after this is going to be on outreach ambassador and then advocate. But today we're doing collaboration parent leader. And we're almost finished with the background. Hang in there. So that's something else that we learned in when we're thinking about like what's necessary to really carry out some authentic parent engagement is to have a clear definition. Like, what is it? Because I could say parent engagement, and Molly, it could mean something to you differently than you, Brooke, than you, Sayonara. And so for us, it was, okay, we gotta define it. And we like to define things as both a process. So it's like, what is it that you're doing and what is the way that you're doing it? And this is our definition as a process. I'll give you all a minute to read through it. And also as an outcome, right? Like if we carry out this process, what are the results? What does that look like? So here's our definition of parent engagement within the context of collaboration. So if you can, take a minute, read through them, and if something stands out, whether an idea or word, you can feel free to share it in the chat. Share it. That's my English as a second language. Share it in the chat. Oh my goodness. Oh, I see your message, Ms. Letty, that we all have faced some of the same challenges. Yep. So what stands out to you about our definitions, if anything? There's that word you were talking about, Ms. Letty? Decision making.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what stands out to me, if I must say, is the process and the outcome. Why those two words stands out to me? I mean, it's clear that the process, this is the definition and the outcome is that definition. But why I said those two words stands out to me because the process is, engaging families with decision making. That what the process is engaging parents. The outcome is decision making. That's what stands out. That's how I put it. And I know there's different opinions towards that, but that's what I'm looking at.
Thank you, Ms. Letty. And thank you all who put messages in the chat. So some of the things that stand out are build effective partnerships and share responsibility, intentional efforts by stakeholders to give opportunity and support, and decision making. Yeah, I think that defining it as a process is important for us because sometimes, we forget or take for granted that it's not something that just happens, it's something that we have to make happen. And so that's why it's important to see both sides of it. Not just what are parents doing, but what are we doing, right? To engage and support and create the conditions. All right, we're gonna do a quick poll question. And Kristen is gonna launch the poll. It's a very, a pretty straightforward, easy question, but just want to get a feel for or an idea of, does your collaboration or program, organization, whoever you're with, do you have something in writing that guides your parent engagement work? It could be a definition, it could be a set of beliefs, values. Some folks have a whole plan, but do you have something in writing that guides your parent engagement work? And you could do yes, no, or I'm not sure, which is also a valid option. And as everybody's completing the poll, just wondering, and you could unmute and jump in, why might it be a good idea to have something in writing to guide the work?
Say that again, Jenny, please.
Why might it be a good idea to have something in writing to guide your parent engagement work?
So I mean, some people, take information in by looking at it themselves or like by hearing it. And also, by having something running, to show so they can see the outline of the work that you're trying to do. So it could go, once again, it'll go many ways. Something for me to look at when I have time at home by myself. I'm like, oh, so this is what she was telling me. I could hardly understand what she was telling me then because I had the kids with me. So it's many ways. But most parents that I talk to, why it's good to have something running for because a lot of people say this, but parents don't read stuff, which is that's so not true. We read stuff on our own time. So
That's a
have
great
something
point.
like this for them to read. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Letty. Yeah, that's a great point to have it so that parents could also understand it. And for the collaboration members that are working to build the conditions to engage parents, I think that's applicable too, right? And so the chat says, thank you all for sharing accountability. Some people learn and understand better what is written. Me, I'm a visual learner. Also, so the expectations are clear, individuals are aware of what the job entails. Expectations, individuals need more guidance, and so that everyone works together towards one goal. Yeah, collaborative work is not easy, and so I just want to make sure, I think having things in writing helps all of the things that you mentioned for sure. Make sure that everybody's on the same page. And it also helps that not only one person does the parent engagement, everybody does it. And everybody is committed to when they say we support parent engagement, they understand what they're saying. Cool, thank you for, is the poll finished? Should we share the results? You already did? I'm sure. Oh, cool, thank you. All right, so a bit, 58% yes, that's great. There's no, about 19%, and that's fine. There's always, opportunity to move in that direction. If you look in the, also in the handbook, there's activities that help you carry out. Okay, I was like, sometimes I think faster than I can talk. There's activities in the handbook that might help you lead a conversation with your group, your agency, your collaboration, and get to a definition and or some different components and elements that will guide your work. So check it out. Well, thank you. And if you're not sure, I also invite you to just, maybe go and ask. It might be there. Sometimes, we write things, they get like put in some folder and nobody ever talks about them. So they might be there. Thank you very much for sharing, honestly. Okay. So now we're getting into the nitty gritty, I guess, and nuts and bolts. So when we say collaboration parent leader, what the role is describing is when parents actively participate in the collaboration and or it's parenting. There's a lot of ways to support parents to support in like that decision-making space, that mixed stakeholder space. What we found with our research and kind of like my experience and what is working with folks that are currently engaging parents in collaborations is that I'm sorry, I get distracted with the chat, is that it is helpful to have a parent dedicated space, and for where it's, you know, parents get a chance to really get together. You know, they take trainings, participate in capacity building experiences. They get to know each other and build a network of support. They kind of get their ducks in a row as a group, and, you know, as they're hearing from community and identify what their local early childhood like needs and preferences might be, so they could come up with their own list of priorities, right? As well as talk through any feedback or input that the collaboration might be asking of them. And this is also a really good opportunity, and this like parent dedicated space or a parent team, to use those meetings to prepare for the collaboration meeting. We're going to talk a little bit later about like what do parents need to be able to not only attend as a warm body in the meeting, but also access what is being talked about and like fully participate. And, you know, part of it is preparing. And instead of preparing with each parent like individually, we can do it as a group. And then, and I think overall, you know, like they're just, parents have the opportunity to listen and represent themselves and their community. And so that's one way that we've seen it be pretty effective. That, you know, like parents kind of come to the parent team first, and as they feel prepared and ready, then they can end up joining the full collaboration if they want. And the collaboration, what that role can entail, and again, like you as a collaboration agency group can set these roles and responsibilities, but this is just an example of what it might look like. You know, and you can also like decide if it's like the whole parent team that participates on the collaboration, or if it's representatives, or how that works. But then when they're have joined and participating in the collaboration, you know, they can basically do all the work that all the other collaboration members are doing. They are kind of that like connection between the parent team and the collaboration, right? Like they are representing like, oh, okay, you wanted us to vote on this. The parent team says this, so that we are not tokenizing parents, and they're not there like representing all parents everywhere. And, you know, engaging in that decision making, representing the team, and then share their lived experiences and listen to and represent community and children. Oh, thank you for the visuals. I spend a lot of time on Google Images, sometimes more than I should. And so this is, you know, the strategy, the technique, or that we've seen be pretty effective. And I know there's a lot of different ideas, right? Of like, if you have a parent team and they're over there and they're not connecting to the collaboration, like, are we segregating parents? Do we want to do that? And so it's valid, but sometimes what we've noticed is that we can have a parent dedicated space with all of its benefits, and it's not segregating if you intentionally connect the both, right? Whatever that might look like. But if you have, it's a both and, not one or the other. But we'll get into a little bit more on how to do it. I just wanted to give an idea of of our model or recommendations around this. And to hear directly from our most impacted, we have an amazing video with a longtime parent leader in early childhood collaboration. So it's the video that we're going to show. It's a little bit less than 3 minutes. And as you're listening to Ms. Rose, who is a parent leader, speak about her experience with early childhood collaborations, if you could just, think through some reflection questions, which like what stood out to you from what Ms. Rose shared. And then, according to where she's coming from and her testimony, why implement the collaboration parent leader role? So like, what's the benefit? And I think Kristen's gonna play the video for us. Thanks.
Parents are at the root of everything. If you think about our families and the structure of it, what is at the center? Parents. Parents are the first caregivers. Parents are the first educators. Parents are the decision makers, believe it or not, in a child's life. And they are the after effect of everything that child will experience. And so we have to be at the tables that are making decisions that will impact our families and our communities. The collaboration wasn't just about what parents wanted to demand that they deserved for their children, but it was also about helping systems work better for our families. It was also about sharing information and best practices. And I think just the dynamic around building relationships, not only between systems and policy and providers, but folks on the ground, building those connections and having us have those hard conversations and work together has just been a benefit to make sure that policies and systems are working better for everyone, for all families. In all earnest, sometimes the very folks, I think that we all care about our children, whether it's the parents or even the providers or policymakers, come in with the thought that they want to do what's best for children. Sometimes because we just have a thought and we don't necessarily know the details, it makes us hard. And my philosophy is nothing about us without us. And that simply means you can't make a plan for my life if you don't know anything about my life. And I think the collaboration has caused us to know each other. Parent and family engagement to me means that we see each other as true partners. Parents aren't just some folks who are at home and they gave birth to a child that you then take control of. It's a partnership where we're communicating. We're seeing through the eyes of each other what's working well, what's not working well. But if we were at the table in the first place as a true partner, I think we would save a lot of money. I think we'd save a lot of time. And I know we'd have some awesome policy systems and a much better world.
Some clapping for Ms. Rose. So anybody want to share what stood out to you the most from what Ms. Rose shared? Or did it bring any ideas home for the importance of having parents like in the collaboration, participating?
One of the things that she said is you can't make a plan for my life if you don't know my life. So I like that, to keep on a good outlook of that we really are here for the families, and so to keep that look on for them.
Thank you, Brooke. And thank you all for the chat. Is there a way to request a video? Yeah, we could share the link. Right, Kristen, we could share the link. Yeah. Raising a child is a partnership, nothing about us without us. Yes, thank you. And there are ways to kind of learn about family experience, which is when we talked about the first role of family and community expert, like hearing from parents via surveys, focus groups, and different ways, but this is a little different, right? And what's the benefit of bringing the parent in as a partner in person versus just bringing in their input? Did you all get anything around that?
Repeat your question again, Jen. I'm having a little audio issues here.
Oh, okay, yeah. I guess what's the benefit of bringing in parents as partners in person versus just bringing in their input from a survey or a focus group?
Well, for me, me being a lead parent and lead parent in my community and my children's school, I have took part in numerous of surveys conducting. And what's the difference is that you actually put a face to this data that you're collecting. Often at times, a lot of people rely on just the data itself to make decisions, but actually looking at the data and also hearing from the person that you collected this data from, it makes the work more visible. I mean visual.
Thank you, Ms. Letty. And I see in the chat, when folks share that they bring authenticity and passion. They get to know you as a person, the conversation will flow better. Thank you all. And I know I'm a little distracted. I seem a little distracted because sometimes like when the chat pops up, like I just want to read everything that you all are putting in there. So I get like squirrel. But I'm just really excited. Thank you. Yeah, some of the benefits to engaging parents as a collaboration parent leader, like in person, both either on the parent team or on the collaboration that we've identified are for the collaboration, right? You get to identify and prioritize system change efforts. They bring context to the data. You get to strengthen those relationships, like Ms. Rose and all you all have shared. Collect real-time parent input on all the collaboration efforts, right? They're right there sitting next to you, working together. You don't need to do a whole round of a survey. Oh my goodness, the cutest little dog just walked next to me. You get to also, to that authenticity and passionate, you get to recruit knowledgeable and some of the most dedicated stakeholders because they're children, right? And then there's also, everybody wins, and collaboration parent leaders themselves get to benefit from helping shape the early childhood system that reflects the needs of their family and their community. They get to develop their leadership, right? We want their input, but if we're not building leadership or capacity to be able to make decisions about the system, then they can't fully, they can make a decision, but they need to be informed to be able to participate. Through their participation, they get to increase their knowledge of the system that we're asking them to co-maintain with us. And they gain support networks, right? With other parents, with early childhood programs, directors, leaders, and they just gain multiple supports. And I'm sure there's many more, many more benefits. These are some of the ones that come up. So now we get to really the steps to engaging parents in this role. And so again, we parsed out the steps, and it might seem like a lot of work, but we really just want to make it like as easy as possible. Don't get overwhelmed. The first step is going to be really establishing clearly, what is it? What objectives and responsibilities are you expecting parents to take on in this role? What resources are necessary to support parents, and what resources do you have? What resources don't you have, and where can you get them? Who's going to be leading and responsible for the direct support and interaction with parents, which we call parent engagement leads. Very creative naming on my end. Target your recruitment, and then make sure that we're preparing the collaboration to include parents. We always talk about how are parents preparing to join us. So how are we preparing for them to join us? Prepare parents to participate, convene a collaboration parent team, which we talked a little bit about, and then how to connect the parent team to the collaboration. So the first step is going to be to establish those clear objectives and responsibilities for the collaboration parent leaders. What are the objectives overall for your collaboration, right? Are you trying to engage parent leaders so they can help you identify gaps in the system, what's not working? Are they coming up with their own list of what's not working? Are they informing and supporting the ongoing work that's already there? Engaging in leadership development, like why are you engaging parents in this role? And then outlining very specific responsibilities and what does this work look like for them? Does it mean that they're attending the parent meetings, that they're attending collaboration meetings? You know, are you expecting them to prepare for each meeting, to debrief? What is it that you are asking from them? And if you have any questions or any comments, jump in at any time. And not only is that clarity important for you all as you're planning to engage, but then, you know, it's important to convey these expectations up front with parents. You know, we talk a lot about retention, and a lot of times, I mean, there's many reasons for, you know, issues with retention, but one that I'm seeing is just that, like, we don't understand what we're getting ourselves into. And if you're as clear as possible up front, nobody wastes, you know, parents don't waste their time, you don't waste your time. So these are some things you could provide ahead of time as you're recruiting parents. Right, and now we're going to talk about the resources. So we looked up a definition for resources, which is a stock or supply of money, materials, staff, or other assets that can be drawn on by a person or organization in order to function effectively. So what are important resources for authentic parent engagement? And by resources, again, we mean like money, materials, staff. You could just unmute and jump in or put it in the chat. What do you need?
I can go.
Yeah, please.
So for us, some or many of our meetings are conducted in English, but many of our ambassadors are Spanish speaking only. So we do have an interpreter, and we have the interpreting headsets. So it's quality interpreting, like as, what is it, simultaneous, I think it is. So yeah, so it's not just like we're saying, you know, use your limited English and fully participate. No, and then when they want to participate, they speak in Spanish, and then that's interpreted to others in English.
That's great. So you all bought the headsets and have them on hand?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
How many do you have?
We have, I believe it's like 23 headsets. So it's a whole set. But we don't use them all. I think right now our early childhood group, we have 10 parent ambassadors. And so they're the ones I use. Not all of them use it, but some feel more comfortable having the information in Spanish so that they can fully participate. Otherwise it would be, you know, just with like the little bits and pieces that they were able to get.
Thank you, Michelle. That's such a great investment, the headsets.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Who does the interpretation? Somebody on staff, or you hire someone?
No, it's someone from a different organization. So again, she's fairly familiar, or she's very, very familiar with everything. She's great with all of the material that needs to be interpreted or translated.
Thank you. So I'm seeing in the chat, childcare ability or ability to bring children, incentives, childcare transportation, translation, snacks, refreshments, toys, Uber gift cards. Oh, that's a good one. Volunteers and books. Yes, there's it takes work and resources to do this work, right? And so some of the resources that we've identified that are helpful and some of them necessary include parent engagement leads, who's going to do the work, how many hours, and is it dedicated towards parent engagement? Because sometimes we see, right, like the parent engagement person is also like all the other roles that they have to play, and it's kind of like the miscellaneous person. You do parent engagement, you do everything else that nobody else does, and then how much time do you have for parent engagement? Professional development, both for the parent leaders and for whoever is engaging the parents directly, and then some kind of professional development for everyone that's coming, for all your collaboration, because they need to also be supportive, even if they're not leading the work. Parent compensation or stipends, childcare, refreshments, translation, interpretation, transportation, meeting supplies, and these are not all exhaustive. The best way, which you probably know already, is to ask the parent leaders, right? Like, what do you need? How can we support your participation? Right, and then step number 3, determine parent engagement leads. I know that we're working in an environment of scarce resources. Hopefully, ideally, we're moving to a system where we are investing resources to be able to pay staff to do this work. And if we're not there yet, we can also identify collaboration members to do some of this work. And when you're thinking like, what might this work include? Let me go back. So some of you are parent engagement leads or have a parent engagement lead. What work do they do? What does their work entail? For the person who's responsible for leading the parent engagement work. Some other work may be leading the recruitment efforts, right? We could plan a pretty picnic, but if no parent leaders show up. Coordinating all of the parent participation, which is a lot of work, and we're going to go through a little bit more. And then supporting and coaching parents, and hopefully they have enough capacity to also build the parent engagement capacity of the full collaboration, right? Like help everybody understand and go through trainings about how we can better support the parents that show up in collaboration spaces.
Hey, Jenny, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, no interruption. Please do jump in.
Okay, I was trying to get someone else space to, speak if they wanted to say something. But I know that some of the few things that I do is pretty much what you mentioned. So I also a parent lead liaison for the Greater East St. Louis Early Learning Partnership. And one of the many things that I do is engage parents with early learning programs that we have in our community. Also, services, resources that's available to families that they're not aware of. And most so engaging parents with teachers, like being in partnerships with early learning teachers and parents who are interested with getting their kids into early learning programs, and they think that they don't fit the requirement, or most families think that the child got to be a certain age to enter into an early learning program, which they actually can get their child into an early learning program at the age of birth. So that's just one of the many things that I informed them on, doing outreach, door to door knocking. Yeah.
You wear a lot of hats, Ms. Letty. Thank you for sharing. But I think you also bring up a good point that as you are engaging leaders, they may then start taking on some of the engagement of other parents, right? The parent-to-parent engagement and mentorship. And that is definitely a great practice. Thank you, Ms. Letty.
Hmm.
And then, thinking about recruitment, so we're bringing in that consideration of like racial equity into our recruitment for collaboration. And so, when we're recruiting, sometimes we recruit parents who are already leaders, which is great, who are already participating. However, we also want to go ahead, target recruitment and be very intentional about engaging those that are most impacted by the issues that you're trying to address, that are underserviced or not serviced at all in terms of demographic groups, and or those demographic groups that are isolated that usually don't hear from. And Armand put in the chat priority populations list that is identified by stakeholders with the Early Learning Council, or they go every couple of years and identify like what are some of the underserved groups throughout the state, and you can use it to kind of check out those groups in your community and see if any of those are groups that you might want to target for your recruitment. And we're going to do a full group activity because I know I'm tired of talking and y'all are tired of listening to me. So let's talk about who you engage. We're going to share existing or brainstorm new recruitment strategies for groups that are underserved in your community. So the first question is, and just unmute, jump in, or use the chat as we've been doing, but what is an underserved group from your community that you have or that you have engaged or would like to engage in your collaboration? What are some groups that are not getting served at the same rate or not getting served at all in your community that you would like to bring in to your collaboration?
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
No need to apologize, Letty.
It's just right about now, Janet, you speaking about my work. Like everything you said is about my work and what I'm currently doing. And it's funny that you said that because I'm having a hard time bringing in Spanish speaking families because my work that I do with the Early Learner Partnership, it does not service the Spanish population because there's no one that we have in that department to translate. So it's like it's like this. We just hired with my other job. We just hired on a bilingual ambassador with my other job. So she was telling me some of the strategy, some of the challenges that Spanish speaking families are having, and I'm trying to share that information that I'm hearing from for some of the Spanish speaking families, sharing that information with my work that I do with the Early Learner Partnership, and they're like, "Oh, we don't have the material to translate the flyers, or we don't have no one who could translate." Um, like when we doing the family cafes, and like these are families who who can't get childcare, or who's having like who's trying to make decisions between working or staying home because they have no childcare, they have no one to, to see, to watch their kids, or either they're afraid they would get documented. Just a lot of challenges that they are having, and they're not getting the services. And if we are a collaboration, if we are a partnership, then why is that we not bringing these families that need these services into this work? And it's just kind of frustrating. But I'm a shut up. I'm not gonna get in my feelings
No,
today.
no, don't, please don't stop participating. I think it's so important to hear kind of like what we're all going through, and you might not be the only one. And that's the whole idea, right? Of being here together. Maybe we can help each other out. So I saw in the chat, Valerie put, we partner with organizations that serve those populations. Is that an option? And these are programs that aren't able to translate their outreach material, like their flyers and stuff? Or what is it that's not translated or interpreted?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah,
Jenny?
that's what. Mhm.
Oh, the flyers, they're not translated. Like if I was to request, they cannot, say for instance, and this has just happened yesterday. I asked my supervisor, when she gave us the flyers or whatnot, I was like, do you have the is there a way that I could translate these flyers? Or can you see me some kind of doc where, with the flyer on there where we could translate it ourselves or whatnot? And I asked her about these translated flyers 2 weeks ago, and she tells me, "Oh, we can't get that done in a certain amount of days." I gave you ample time to do it, and it's like I felt as if that you didn't even put an effort to see that these flyers are translated. And then if you are and then nothing, if you think that families think that they're gonna get documented, oh, I can't pronounce it, but I think you guys kind of get an idea of what I'm saying. But what is if that's not your decision to see if these families are gonna get documented or not? It's you're not even giving them the you're not even trying to make space for them to come in.
Yeah.
And then for you to say that families might be afraid of being documented, who's to say they will? That's not your decision to make. And I also felt that there was racist in some ways of discrimination.
Can I jump in? She touched my heart. Thank you, Letty, for that being so dear to you, and like I feel validated, But I think you said something key. You said that you didn't see an effort, and so for me, I think like maybe that's an opportunity for you, and agency politics is a whole other thing, but like where are their priorities? Is this a priority for them, right? And honestly, Google Translate is free and we all have access to it, right? And with time, like I use Google Translate because of the accents, for example. Writing is not my my strong area there. And so for me, like I always Google Translate things, and thank you. I see other resources there. But we use Google Translate when we translate flyers, and that's actually pretty spot on at this point. Before it was terrible. Now it's actually really good. Like it's like I'll change one word if anything. So like yeah, that's just something that like even you have access to. And I saw someone did put the DuPage Federation. So on the side, I'm actually an interpreter with them. And so what they do is that they go ahead and they send organizations, or if someone needs an interpreter, this is a service free to the family. So the resources are there. It sounds like the agency just needs to take that final or that initial initiative of finding the resources that will be there, that are not fully that expensive for them to get as organizations. So I don't know, but yeah, just had to throw that in there.
Thank you all. And thank you for sharing, Ms. Letty. I think it brings up a good point of it's complicated, right? And some of it is knowing what you need and prioritizing it. But I think as people who are carrying out the parent engagement work, a lot of it is being that advocate, and being that bridge of wherever you're bringing parent leaders to, being able to, even within the leadership of your own space, outline this is what is needed. And if it's not there, just being able to advocate or make sure that you find a way around it to make sure that parents are supported. And we don't ever talk about that piece, right? Of like how we are those bridges for parent leaders until they can do it for themselves, like Ms. Laddie. Any other recommendations or supports that you can share either with Ms. Letty or just with each other? And thank you so much, Valerie, for your example of how the World Relief in DuPage County already employs interpreters that can help with translation. Yeah, and then I would say also just, I know this is kind of like in your parent liaison work, that hat, but how maybe attending a collaboration meeting and, being like, as parent leaders, this is a need that we've identified, and like, what are you gonna do about it?
Yeah, and thank you for the recommendation, Jayla. That was gonna be my next step. And then someone also had put in the chat Google Translate. So that's something else that I have been doing. And then another thing that I wanted to mention is that being a parent leader, sometimes you got to do your own research in order to share information. So using Google Translate is something that I had looked up on. And then with the support of my other work that I do with the with our bilingual ambassador, she also has supported me with translating this flyer, so that way we can be able to reach those families that's that's often missed. So I just wanted to also say that sometimes, we want, when you don't get support from from the people that's supposed to be supporting you, sometimes you gotta like, okay, because this like being a parent leader, it's like it's like people in your community are relying on you to give them this information. Because if the people that's supposed to share this information not sharing it, who else gonna share it?
Thank you, Ms. Letty, for bringing us like this not planned case study, but it was really helpful. And also like another benefit of having parent leaders in the work is that accountability, right? Like, so easy to be like, oh, we're doing it later. But when parents are like, this is urgent, like this is our life, it really like lights a fire under you, hopefully. Well, thank you so much. We're gonna move forward if nobody has anything else to add. I think you all shared, Valerie, just leveraging existing relationships are some recommendations for recruitment. And something that we've noticed works in terms of recruitment is to kind of front end something that's more structured, like a training. I think the engagement at the program level has revolved around workshops and trainings. And I mean, we're at one right now. We love it. It's short term, it starts, it finishes. And so I think parents might be more inclined to join a series of workshops than to be like, hey, join my collaboration. And then from there, kind of capitalize on that momentum and excitement of parents kind of going through a series of workshops. Leadership trainings are awesome because then like at the end of it, folks are hopefully just pumped and ready to then put into practice what they've learned, and then like, oh, you can put into practice what you learned in our parent team, but also, again, using cross-system invitations and then finding parents where they are. And use peer-to-peer recruitment model. That's a huge one. You know, if you get 2 parents, 3 parents, like that's a start and it's great. And then they could bring each one the next time. One thing that we've seen that works like more logistically is that when you are kind of going out to do some recruitment, whether it's kind of giving your spiel at different parent meetings or sharing flyers, that if you can start creating a running list of people who are interested with their contact information, and if you have the time to have one-on-ones with each person, like ahead of whatever you're inviting them to, really increases the probability that they know what they're getting themselves into, they feel supported, and that they might actually come. And of course, always like if you want to engage 10 parents, you'll probably have to outreach twice as many parents, right? Like have a list of 30 if you want 15 to show up, because life happens. All right, so we are at our 10-minute break. If you can come back at 11:18, just give you some break to stretch, do what you got to do. I'll see you in a little bit. Everybody, I'll just assume that everybody's here. All right, so moving forward with the steps to engaging parents in the role of collaboration parent leader. Step number 5 is to prepare the collaboration to include parents. We're going to do a full group activity that is using reverse brainstorming. Have you all used it before? Reverse brainstorming is when, instead of asking a group to brainstorm the ideas that would work, we brainstorm the ideas that won't work. And then once we have a list, then we flip them on their heads and do the opposite. So we are going to be using Jamboard, and Armand will put it in the chat, the link. So as a group, and I'll go through an example on Jamboard before we get started, but we're going to use reverse brainstorming to generate ideas for how to create an accessible and inclusive environment for parents by first thinking about all the ways that we could create an environment that is not inclusive, that is not accessible for parents. We're going to take a few minutes to kind of list all the ways that we can make these spaces not inclusive, accessible. And then when I tell you, we'll start flipping those bad ideas on their heads and creating them into good ideas. And this is an activity that you can use with your groups, including with parent groups, to identify what we call parent inclusion policies. So a list of commitments that your group takes to create an inclusive environment. Remember, we talked a lot about putting it in writing, and then we're going to have a discussion. So let me open the Jamboard and show you all what I'm talking about. And you can go ahead and jump into the Jamboard. Alrighty. My computer's been really slow. We started it, but we're going to have to give it some grace. So let's take maybe about 4 or 5 minutes to list all the ways not to make a space, not inclusive, not accessible for parents. So, one of the things that has been coming up a lot is do not provide translation or interpretation. And actually, we're going to do the bad ideas on yellow, just so that we're all we can identify and are color coding them, right? So do not provide translation or interpretation. Just go through and I said yellow and I made it green. Cancel. And you see that when you generate a new posted, it always puts them up here. So you're going to have to move them around by left clicking. And you can add a posted by using the fourth logo on the left, just clicking on it, it'll open this up and then you can write on it. So let's take 4 minutes, so until 11:26, to write all the bad ideas. When you run out of space, you could use a second frame as well. You could just navigate it by using these little arrows up here. The second frame is also set up for you.
Okay, Janice, how are we supposed to do this? This is Jamboard, correct?
Yes.
How do we do this?
So are you in the Jamboard already? Did you use the link in the chat?
No, I didn't get no link.
Oh, okay. If you open
Let
the
me check.
chat, it should be there. Let me know if you don't see it.
Okay.
I just
Okay.
put it in the chat again, so it should be there.
Thanks, Emma. And if you're having trouble with the Jamboard, you can also put it in the chat and we could put it in.
Okay, now how do I put in the Jamboard? I'm on the link now. I see the Jamboard.
Yes. So here, let's go to the second frame. You can navigate it by using these little arrows up front. So click on the one on the right and it'll get you to a new frame. So on the left, you should see like a bar. I don't have the technology words. So on the left, you'll see all these icons. Click on the fourth one, left click it, and it should open the sticky note up for you. And then you write whatever you want and then save it.
You know what, Janice? I'm just gonna use the chat. Okay.
Sounds good to me. Thank you. Okay, so now we are at 4 minutes. Let's switch over to flipping these on their head. So take the bad ideas and you can do it by opening a different color sticky note and writing the opposite, right? So if, for example, no childcare, then you can put a sticky note. Let's do green because green is, is go. You could do provide childcare or let parents keep their children with them if that's the case. Or whatever ideas, right? Or you could host meetings while their children are in programs or in schools. That's also a way to get around it if that works for for parents who maybe stay at home and have time to participate during the day. So then you can save it and put it next to it like this. I know we're running out of space, or put it on top. Yeah, I like that. You can put it on top. And you could try to flip your own, but if you have ideas about somebody else's, you can also maybe put it right next to. And Armand is able to support adding your ideas if you're having trouble with the Jamboard. Thank you, Armand. These are pretty thoughtful. Oh, canceling a meeting and not letting parents know. Oh, and then just ideas around closed captioning. That's a really great idea that I think sometimes even I don't think about sometimes. So as we're finishing kind of flipping some of these bad ideas on their heads and turning them into possible inclusion policies, I invite you all to kind of take a look at them and then there we go. Just wondering as you're looking at them, if anything surprises you or stands out to you. And I would say in parent inclusion policies, if we can be as specific as possible too, that would be helpful, right? So for like the don't, lack of communication, and then flipping on its head for like clear communication, even having a plan, right? Like what's your plan? Are you using WhatsApp? Are you using a text? Are parents expecting both a text and a call? Having that plan. Ms. Letty, yeah, come on in. Unmute.
It was something that I wanted to comment on. As I'm looking at the Jamboard, I see a lot of things that, I could say that's, relatable, but something that I don't see that I was hoping that someone put in on here, and I just could put in words what I wanted. But assuming that everyone has Zoom, everyone does not have Zoom, and often at times that question is never asked. So, so that would be assuming that everyone has like you said, they could be using multiple apps, different apps. Everybody is not on Zoom. There's other ways that people communicate virtually. You don't always have it is not always on Zoom. So be mindful to ask that question. And maybe they could go on the second part, like what could be working well or what could be doing better. Being mindful that, being mindful of how people, access meetings.
That's so true. Thank you, Ms. Letty. And not, like not all the computers, I feel like Chromebooks have trouble with some of the aspects of Zoom. So yeah. And some of it's going to be like trial by fire, like asking parents, but as things come up, like having that feedback loop, right? Of like, what could we do better? And then just do better, anticipate as much as we can, but also really hear from families and being responsive. So this is an activity that I love. One of my colleagues introduced me to reverse brainstorming, and I love to use it, and everybody who does it really likes it. So I stole it from her. An activity again that you can do with parents, right? Like, hey, what can we do to make this space supportive? Or what can we do to make the space not supportive, not inclusive? And then they'll tell you, but also with your collaboration or with a mixed group of folks. We're not going to come up, with a list of inclusion policies that, there be some kind of talking and whittling down and all that stuff, but wanted us to get used to the activity and in case you all want to use it and kind of get in that mind space. So, does anybody put in the chat? Okay, cool. Well, thank you. These are really great and we're always learning. So thank you for teaching me some stuff today. Yeah, not assuming everybody can use Jamboard, right, Ms. Letty? Sorry.
Bingo.
But see, we had a
But we learned.
workaround.
Yes, and that's where support comes in. And like you said, if I can't use the Jamboard, then I can use the chat. Me and families where they at.
Thank you. We have a list of supports and different just general supports and accessibility supports that you may consider and anticipate ahead of time. Here's a list. We also have the same list in the handbook, but bottom line is every community, every demographic group experiences things differently. So always asking parents, what do you need? What's an obstacle for you to participate, and then hoping to get creative with how we meet those needs. Right. And now we're almost finished with the steps. So number 6, prepare parents to participate on the collaboration. This one will have a breakout group to think through as a small group of about 6 or so. When you're thinking about what do we need to equip parents with, either it's what do they need to know, what do they need to know how to do, and maybe what some ongoing supports might we need to provide along the way. So if you all can get into your breakout groups, discuss those questions. We're using the same Jamboard, sorry, Ms. Letty, but only one group, and Dolores, I'm sorry, I know you were having trouble, but only one person per group needs to put the idea, so that might be a workaround, but want to make sure that we have the list. There's a cute little dog again. So it's the same Jamboard, just move forward to the right to a different frame, and then look for the frame that coincides with your breakout group. So breakout group 1, and the questions will be here. You just kind of populate the little sticky groups and look for your breakout group, and only one team needs to fill it out. But yeah, if you could just take a few minutes to think, what do parents need in terms of support to be able to attend one of your meetings? What trainings, what supports, what materials, and then we're going to come back and have a full group discussion on, again, if anything surprised you, or if you want to share a highlight. So you'll have, we're going to do about 10 minutes in the breakout groups. Do you all have any questions? Pay attention to which breakout group you get put in, because I think it only pops up at first and then you lose it. All right, y'all. See you in 10 minutes. Have a good conversation. The questions are on the Jamboard, but they're also on your handouts, in case you're wondering. Oh, you again. Just wanted to get us started on the conversations, and hopefully we can finish them in our own groups. If you haven't already done so, you can take some time to look at everybody else's answers, but just wondering, did anything surprise you or stand out to you? even from like the questions to the conversations. Does anybody want to share about their experience in the breakout group? Somebody who hasn't talked, if they want, I'm going to be that teacher. So does anybody want to share any highlight of the conversation? Maybe something that surprised you, something new.
Hi, Janet. I'm Monica with the YWCA Strong Families. Willowbrook is my group, Willowbrook families. So I love my Willowbrook fams. So what came up, you know, we had the 3 questions, but the one I needed the most support with and where it was very helpful was what ongoing supports might collaboration parent leaders need. I'm, like I said, new to this, so I was looking for some things, and we came up with following through for the families, for the parent collaborator, the parent leader, so that they feel empowered, right? We have to follow up. If they come into these meetings and they tell us what the community needs, it's our job to follow through. So if they're at just that follow through and building trust was very good for us, and making the coordinator accessible. That is very true, because some of our parent leaders will say, oh, well, yeah, I got the number to, let's say, Monica, and I can't get her on the line. So making sure that we are available for these parent leaders is something that stood out in our group.
Thank you very much, Monica.
No worries.
Anyone else? Or maybe even a question you're still kind of noodling on.
One of the things we talked about on the first question was make the parent feel that their voice matters and their opinion is heard. We also talk about we are here to support them in whatever way we could do any support for them.
I think, Araceli, did you all think about or talk about specific practices to reassure parents that their voice matters? Or is it just as simple as just explicitly saying your voice matters?
I think so. Just making them feel comfortable and letting them express their feelings and what goal settings they might be having. Just listening.
Thank you so much. But yeah, I think these are some questions to think about, you know, when we're asking parents to fulfill a goal, is asking ourselves, what do they need, you know? And I know one of the groups that I was kind of checking in with everybody, one of the groups had a reflection on the questions, how question 1 and question 2 are very similar, right? And they are, but they, and maybe for next time now I know to kind of clarify that. The question 1 was a little bit about maybe onboarding ahead of time, like what background information might parents need. And here is here's some of our findings on what might be good onboarding topics. And so that would be, you know, question number 1 might be some background on the collaboration. You know, what do they need before they start? And then what do they need to know how to do might be more like the logistic piece, right? They need to maybe know how to read an agenda, you know, or like they might need some specific definitions or context, or, you know, if you're discussing a program, and that might be like the ongoing thing. So just thinking about them in those ways. And a really good practice, again, is asking parents, but these are some things that might be helpful in terms of onboarding, right? Background on the collaboration. You're asking them to do work for the collab. They should be able to know what is it and why does it matter. The early childhood system, maybe their local early childhood system as well. Racial equity, just, you know, a discussion, an activity, a training. Parent leadership training is also very helpful to support parents in recognizing their own power, and know that they have that, know what they bring to the table, which is a lot. And then storytelling is also great. And then ongoing topics, may include anything that parents identify as a growth, an area of interest or growth area. Skills and knowledge, parents need to participate in the collaboration's ongoing work. And then I think also with the ongoing support, what we've noticed is that coaching is very important, right? As adult learners, we learn by doing. And so yes, go to the training, but then when you actually implement it that's where you kind of, get all the feedback, and that's why coaching is very important. I do want to move us forward because we are running low on time. But these conversations have been really great. This, the convening of collaboration parent team, we talked about it. We talked about it in the beginning, right, of what can take place in this space, in this parent dedicated space. What you want to start doing is set regular meetings. Like one of the biggest issues is scheduling for us when we did a lot of this work. But if we have a standing meeting once a month, once every 2 weeks, then you can fit like training, conversations, prep. I'm not sharing my screen, sorry. So set regular meetings where parents can get to know each other, prepare for the collaboration meetings. If you're, the point of connecting the parent dedicated space to the collaboration meeting is to utilize that space to prepare parents also to then attend the collaboration meeting. So you can review the agenda together, review the materials, even get coordinate like how parents are going to vote if there's something up for a vote. Here's a list of some of the benefits again of having a parent dedicated space, which we talked about a little bit. I kind of see it, a parent dedicated space is a safe incubation parent leadership space where parents can find that support and then go attend the collaboration meeting feeling like supported and prepared. And the most important part, again, of having a parent dedicated space that is supporting the collaboration work is that we're connecting the two. Some very practical ways of doing that, again, is the parent team can select representatives. Maybe not all the parent team members want to even attend the collaboration meeting. I know we love this work. It's very interesting, but it's not super interesting to everybody, unfortunately. So like parents might vote 2 representatives to be able to, speak for them and represent them the way that we send a representative to the collaboration for a whole agency. If they have the parents, once they're on the collaboration, have decision-making power, even better if it's weighted or if it's parent-centered. Number 3, which seems like super simple but makes a real big difference, is having a designated parent team agenda item on every meeting that is beyond the community participation piece. And then making sure that the work, the preparation, and the support, both by like the parent leaders, but also by that parent engagement lead, is creating a feedback loop, right? It's great to have a parent team, but if we're not connecting it to the work, then we're missing an opportunity. Cool. There we go. And too many screens are open. So yeah, that's it for today. Here are the different steps to kind of going about engaging parents as a collaboration parent leader. And I know we went through them really quickly, and we didn't really talk about timeline. But this will take time, right? Parents might join the parent team for a year or two before they even feel ready to join the collaboration. And so kind of going at that parent's pace. But there's ways to connect the parents to the work, even if they're not going in person. And yep, so these are the steps. And then we did run out of time I was hoping to do kind of some group reflection and peer learning, but we can use the last couple of minutes to maybe talk about some of these reflection questions if you want to, or share them in the chat. We also in the chat will have the evaluation. Please fill it out. It always helps us, align our trainings best to needs. And if there's anything on these questions, just wondering, how does this, the way that we go about in our framework, engaging parents in collaborations, how does it align or not align with your work? What are you thinking? Let's do one question at a time. Or even if you're still kind of have questions or are thinking that there's still some challenges that we haven't addressed, I would love to hear it.
In Cicero, we have parent ambassadors. And so I think that we've done a great job at giving them space to share their ideas, thoughts, questions, comments, anything really. But we also listen to their availability, right? It's like when they share that with us, we understand the culture. And we know that once husbands are home, for the most part, or usually, like the wife wants to be at home, and all that other stuff, which is a different conversation. But we do our best to we want them here. We want their brains here, their expertise, them physically here, and so we give to them, right? Our meetings are scheduled in a specific time frame and specific days so that they can work around and participate, but also meet their other family needs. I think if we didn't do that, if we weren't that intentional, then we wouldn't have the successful parent ambassador group that we do have right now. And they've been here for years. So something's working.
I'm a fan. I am a fan of Cicero's parent ambassadors.
They're great, and they love the work, right? So you have a group of dedicated parents. How can we, it's a give and give, like we give you, you give us kind of thing. And it's all very genuine, I think. So it's definitely been key.
Thank you very much, Michelle. So we are at time. If you want to stick around and chat, I'll leave the Zoom room open. Thank you very much, Lucero, for your insights on, there being so many different models, but a lot of the, at the heart, they're all very similar about building parent leadership so children can succeed in school. Thanks. Yeah, but yeah, if there's any questions, if we all want to chat with each other again, I'll keep this open. And then, so one of our trainings, I think in December, was a panel that featured Cicero's AOK parent ambassadors, and they talk about their model. There's a recording on our website. If you can go to I think trainings previous, there should be a recording if you're interested in learning more about it. It is amazing. amazing work. Yeah, but if you need to go ahead. Let's see, we could stop the recording.